Whenever I see a recipe from the book is not getting cooked as often as I think it deserves to be cooked, and again, this is anecdotal evidence because I only see story tags, so I really am making up how many times this has been cooked in my brain. But whenever I see something that deserves more love, I'm like, okay, it's time to make a video. So welcome back to Cooking for Fun, which is baking for fun, because today we're doing the Black Pepper Chai Blondies in honor of spooky season. Sure. Now, I'm not doing many spooky season recipes because I'm not a spooky season girl. I'm a fall girl, trademark. I am a cozy girl. I like a little autumn leaf cafe moment. I'm not like a gore and horror and costumes kind of girl. However, I'm celebrating you if you're that today because in spooky season spirit, I wanted to make like a dessert you could bring to a Halloween party. Something that we could do, but this is the last that we're doing, and then we're going straight into Thanksgiving recipes, so count your blessings. Now, my version of a blondie is very specific, even though I don't always subscribe to rules of what a baking thing should be based on the title, but for a blondie, in my brain, it has to be the setup of a brownie recipe, but with white chocolate. Brownie, like that is the natural progression to me. Like when people give me like a little cake bar, and they call it a blondie, I'm like, sorry, that's a cookie bar. This is a me thing, doesn't have to be a you thing, but I firmly believe I'm correct. Because every brownie I've ever loved starts with a bit of melted butter and chocolate together in a bowl. So that's what we're doing here. Okay, so this is 170 grams or 6 ounces of white chocolate paired with 113 grams of butter. Now, a fun fact about white chocolate, as I chop it precariously from this white chocolate block I paid way too much for. But a fun fact about white chocolate is it's not chocolate at all. It is, in fact, cocoa butter and sugar and butter mixed together. Designed by the Nestle Company, shout out capitalism, in 1930 to sell waste. So if you're, oh my God, if you're a low waste girly, look at you being so sustainable with your white chocolate. If you just want to make this recipe, look at you with your white chocolate. But cocoa butter is actually separated from cocoa mass, from the cocoa bean. Cocoa mass is the cocoa powder that you're familiar with when making chocolate. Cocoa butter is the inside of the bean that is just a fat source. So white chocolate is fat and sugar, which probably explains why I like it so much. And a lot of people do not love white chocolate. I've noticed as I've grown older, I'm still a white chocolate fiend. But if you are not a white chocolate person, trust me, in this recipe, it balances really well because we're putting a lot of spices. And we're also putting black pepper. So you need the sweet to balance the spicy. But don't worry, this is good white chocolate. This isn't Nestle waste from the 1930s. Next up is 113 grams of butter, which if you bake a lot, you're very familiar with that being one stick. And just chop these into 1-inch pieces, cubes. Everything's melting in the double boiler method, so the same size as the white chocolate's good. Last thing is a tablespoon of molasses. That is gonna be 9 grams. And then we're gonna bring this over to a pot, which has a few inches of water in it. Bring that water up to a simmer, and then that will gently melt the white chocolate, the butter, the molasses together. That is gonna take like 5 minutes, and then we take it right off the heat to mix in some sugar. It's brownie method. Nobody panic, but while that is happening, we're gonna be oh God, we're multitasking. So maybe we should panic. That to the side. Not sponsored, but very endorsed. It's 1 egg in. Okay, in the bowl, great. Go team. Everybody's multitasking is doing great. I forgot to pulse up my clove before this. You, on the other hand, will have had that foresight. Okay, and to this, we're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon ground clove, 1/2 teaspoon ground cinnamon, freshly ground black pepper, the same amount as those, so a lot. My triceps are working this video. Ooh, okay. And then, wait, there's two things I'm forgetting. One of them can wait, one of them cannot. 2 tablespoons neutral oil. We have a few pieces that need to be melted, but the last thing in there, a tablespoon of fresh ginger. Oh, good job, good job. All right, melted and separated, but that's okay. It broke a little, that's fine. When you add the brown sugar, we're adding 100 grams of, recipe calls for dark brown sugar. My life and what I have in my kitchen calls for light brown sugar. So today it's light brown sugar. Mix that in, and that, at this stage, will definitely let the mixture separate. And don't worry, there is a lot of fat in this, so it's gonna be blended to breaking. Just get the sugar as combined as you can, and we're gonna lean into the power of the incredible edible egg. So now I'm whisking together the egg mixture, and the adding of the sugar to this mixture had 2 reasons. One, it cools it down so that we don't have to temper the eggs into this. We can just add them in like half batches because the mixture is no longer scalding hot. And 2, I wanted the spices to have a place to land that wasn't the super hot white chocolate mixture. Lots of pauses because I'm like whisking and watching and my poor triceps. But the spices will bloom as they hit the heat of this mixture, but they won't get lost in the same way that I felt they did when put in with the double boiler. And our dry ingredients are 160 grams of flour. Depending on how you measure a cup, it's a cup or a little over a cup. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and then 1 teaspoon of Diamond Crystal kosher salt. So rougher grain salt. If you're using Morton's, which is finer, use half the amount. But yeah, this is our batter. Super pretty, super easy. I only had 1 panic attack. Great. Our batter was ready and waiting for us, and it perfectly goes into the center. Fun story about this batter. Since it is a bunch of white chocolate, it will rest differently compared to other batters. So on my book tour, all the stops, we had like little events where we would serve food from the book. You know, it's like fun. And one of the restaurants was like, oh, we want to make the blondies as little desserts and we'll serve them with a chai whipped cream. It'll be super cute. I was so excited. And I go in and I was talking to them about the menu and I said, did everything go well? And they were like, yes, except we lost like 175 servings of the blondie batter because when you rest it overnight, the white chocolate firms up again. So all that to say, if you want to make it with white chocolate chips, by all means. If you want to make it like with unsalted butter, go for it. If you want to make it the day before, don't. We spread it all the way out to the edges. The last thing is a generous helping of black pepper on top. And if you're the kind of person who came to this channel for chocolate chip cookies, okay, that's a good reason to come to this channel. See this video here. But outside of that, if you're a person who came to this channel because you wanted the standard and the normal, I regret to inform you everything I do is a little bit weird. So these are really, really sweet, and the black pepper might be like, why would we ruin a dessert with that? The balance is insane. It gives you this warming sensation. It really matches all the baking spices. It's one of those like, you gotta try it, you gotta get them hooked, happy spooky season kind of recipes. Into the oven for 20 minutes at 350 degrees. And before we clean up our kitchen, we need to have a chat about authenticity. I obviously did not grow up making authentic chai. I have studied and learned about it, but this was not designed to mimic authentic chai. There's not going to be fennel or rose water or the green cardamom that you normally see. It's taking those flavors, that same warming in the back of your throat feeling, and then finding ingredients that are accessible in North America and kind of using those flavors as inspiration. So while it's Black Pepper Chai Blondies, please know that they're Black Pepper Chai inspired blondies, and thank you so much to those original recipes for helping me translate those flavors into this dessert that we will see in 20 minutes. Golden on the edges, dried out on top is what you're looking for. You don't hear any bubbling, and that's because this is going to be really, really dense. And we could do the toothpick test, but I'm doing the spring back test, which is a light press, and if it springs all the way back, that means it's done. In a perfect world, the best texture will come from letting it cool completely in the pan. And when I say cool completely in the pan, I mean like the pan, you can touch it. it's room temperature or colder. That's what's gonna give you a really fudgy, nice slice through. If you cut it now, it's gonna be pretty cakey. So it's gonna sink a little as it cools, and then it'll be able to slice into like bars that truly look brownie level fudgy. And I had forethought this time, and I made ice cream. So let's slice into it. I'm sorry, but anybody who says that, oh my God, there's too much black pepper, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Just talk to me. Forever, one of my favorite ingredient combinations. So warming, so cozy, so fall autumnal without being like, boom, pumpkin spice. Great with ice cream, great as a slice, great as a blondie. Not to give away to children on Halloween. We don't do that. But this is a very, very good episode for spooky season. I'm happy with it. The next time you see us will be November 1st. So whole different season, whole different world. But see you in 2 weeks. I hope you make this. Don't know what page it's on, but it's in Justine Cooks. And now I'm gonna devour this. And so are you. So please.
You guys gotta make this one, okay?